Welcome to InGen. This is something I wanted to add to our discussion. Actually, I wanted to show you a presentation that I put together to explain a little bit about leadership dynamics with the various generations. And in this last unit, I really wanted to point to the bridges that can be built from the various generations. But I wanted to take one more look at the differences in the four generations, specifically to leadership, and then also look at some bridges here real quickly with you. If you'll take a look here at this PowerPoint, and it's also included in Learning House. We're here at the Builders, and I wanted to point to their leadership dynamics. You're going to have to recognize that leadership for the Builders feels very structured and very chain of command, knowing that they built systems much like they saw in the real world. And so if they saw a military chain of command, they believe in a top-down leadership model. If they saw representative leadership, which is where you create committees and delegations, you create representatives to stand for you, then that's how they lived. Boards, they even use the term deacon board and elder board and trustees. So these are things that they saw in the democracy of the American government, and so they infused those. So that's a leadership model for a builder. For a boomer, the leadership model is much more corporate or success-driven, efficiency-driven, much as the CEO, the entrepreneur, the capitalist market. And so if you're effective, if you're successful, if you're a visionary, if you're a marketing genius or a management genius, that's how they viewed leadership, very much taking it from the culture of the success. This lends us to our discussion on the megachurch. Most megachurch pastors are viewed as CEOs of large organizations. That makes sense. If you look at Gen Xers, their relationship model is quite different in that they love things that look more relational. They love a strategy that is both local in the community, but also has a vision of global impact. Part of the Gen X experience was that the world got smaller. And so they're very focused on where they live and in their own community, but they also have this connection to the global village. You can see that their leadership style is less formal, and it's prompted by regular change. They're an inventive generation, and so if they try something and it fails, they don't care. They'll just retry. Also, they're not grounded, they're more transient. And so if they have a desire to try something, they'll give it a run. If it doesn't work, who cares? Their investment and their entitlement is lower because they're a more transient people. But relationships, very, very high. And then finally, a fourth category for the millennials, our Gen Y, is that they love causes, social justice. They believe in making a difference. Very similar to the Peace Corps mentality of the boomers, the millennials have this idea that they can really change the world. However, they have this celebrity culture, and so they worship leaders, they worship people, and they seek to lead so that they can have fans and friends on Facebook and followers on Twitter. And they want a following based on a celebrity status because they live in a celebrity culture. And so leadership becomes much more self-propagation than institution. They want to create books and writings and articles and their photography and their music. It's an emphasis on what they contribute to the organization, not to the organization itself. So those kinds of things. Now, I wanted to bring you to this last slide here. This is something that I see forming as far as bridges that are being built across the generations, and I want to point to four. You really can see some similarities with the millennials, the Y2K millennials, and the boomers. My picture there for boomers, in that working for a cause. sponsoring an agency or a ministry. They love to pull volunteers and funds and resources together for a cause. Both boomers, the Peace Corps inventors, and these millennials, they see that connection. I also see the conservative family values of the builders make a lot of sense to the Gen Xers. Gen Xers are looking for mentors who are parents who raise children to be godly children because they didn't see that with their boomers parents. And so they're looking for some connections with senior adults who were the ultra conservative, pro family, pro husband, pro wife, sometimes even single family or single parent homes. They're looking for connections with those who did it well. You definitely can see a connection between the Gen Xers and the millennials in this idea of authentic, transparent relationships. The issue of small groups are very, very powerful for the millennials and the Gen Xers. And really, when you go to building effective structures, you got to go to your builders, obviously, and your boomers, the people who build the biggest things. And there's a lot of compatibility with those two generations in building institutions and building organizations and building structures to hold up those organizations. And so, what I want to bring you to is there are some bridges that can be built in social causes, family values, authentic relationships, and building of institutions. And if you match your generations together in leadership of those, understanding they have different leadership models, but if you match them, you really can have a powerful combination. I hope this has been helpful for you. Looking forward to reading your research papers real soon.